So we're so excited for Out on Film this year, both in person and virtual. We have with us one of our lovely filmmakers, Emily Branham. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Branham.
Branham. Emily, it's so great to meet you and talk to you. This is quite the film. It's so personal. It's so in BB's world, and I think we're so excited to hear what your thoughts were on making this film. I think it really stemmed back so many years uh in this person's life. It's not like just one moment, they just won and or all stars. No, it was, BB from the beginning all the way to Cameroon. And I guess I just want to start, before we dive into the film, why don't we just start and talk about you and yourself as a filmmaker. How did you find yourself in this situation with this film?
Sure. Well, thank you so much, John. It's such a pleasure to be with you and with Out on Film and this awesome festival. Yeah, so I guess I found myself making this film because my little sister was dancing backup for BB and told me about it while I was in New York. I had just edited a concert DVD for a singer-songwriter and was working on commercials to make a living. And when Elizabeth told me about it, I was like, that sounds like kind of an amazing short film. This was back in 2006. And, she just was like, yeah, I answered an ad at my ballet school, and it ended up being for a drag queen who needs backup dancers for her national pageant that she's going to. And it's her first national pageant. She's this Cameroonian drag queen who's like a promising amateur in the Twin Cities. She doesn't have a standing gig yet, but she's got something. And so I was like, this sounds like a great short, somebody's first national pageant. And so I came to Minneapolis and met BB and saw BB do her first number. And I was just blown away. I was like, this person has something and just ambition to boot. I mean, nobody else was bringing that many backup dancers into their thing, had like such an elaborate plan for what it was going to be. And the multicultural influence from the beginning, like the very first thing I saw her do was a medley of Les Nubians, Lion King, some really amazing like medley of drums and beats, and it's just like so moving, and the dance was incredible. I was blown away. So I was like, all right, yes, I'm in for this short. I borrowed a camera and pulled in two friends, and we went down to Dallas and thought we were just going to turn around this thing really quick. And there was just more there with BB, and I wanted to see where it was going to go. And fortunately, she was open to me continuing to tag along. And, we were still trying to find what it was going to be when she called me and was like, I got invited to be on the show. I turned them down a couple of times, but they've been really persistent. So I think I'm going to go. I have like a week to get ready. Do you want to come and film me get ready? Because we were still searching for what our film was going to be. And I was like, well, I guess so. So I like found a way to get there and thought that maybe Drag Race would be the ending of the film, season 1 in 2009. And little did I know.
So it was like, how many months would you say that you found them, and then it led to Drag Race that first season?
So 2006 was when we started filming, and we made a big push around that national pageant. And then 2009 is when the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race was. Yeah, so it was 3 years, and wow. We had filmed quite a bit during that time and a lot of interviews, and and so I tried to finish it right after Drag Race season 1. I made a big push to it, and I like hired an assembly editor, and we cut down an assembly that was feature length. And I was just like, it's not doing justice to BB yet. And like from there, I learned that like actually verite scenes are really important. I didn't really know what I was doing with documentary. Like I was like, you've got something amazing. I've done music videos before that. You throw a bunch of cameras at a cool event and it comes together. It's like, no, you need for like something really interesting to be playing out. In scenes. And I feel like we finally had that start to happen in 2014 after BB had moved to New York and things were not really going her way anymore. And it was sort of like her last stab at making it in New York. I was like, okay, this is like the depth that I've been waiting for, because like I loved BB, but I didn't necessarily have these scenes that were playing out that made her feel as vulnerable and real as all of us. I had a lot of grandiosity and success, but not as much struggle playing out in scenes. So
yeah, those New York moments were so interesting to me, because I mean, I'm sure most of us don't know this part of their life. And as someone who is from New York and has lived so long in New York, it was so interesting to hear it. I love the way that they were like, people just say things. They just want to just talk it up, and it's so true here. It made me just sit back. It was nice to hear a point of view that was so important and valid and right about a place that already has enough opinions. But to hear that was, I thought, very interesting. And her struggle to want to find strength in winning. One of my best friends is Bitch Puddin', the winner of Dragula season 2, and I made a small documentary with them when after they won, and a similar comment was, what do you do after you win? And Bibi, the film that you made, it really talks about that. I mean, it really shows what they were able to do and grow from, and even still trying to do. There's still work to be done, which, I mean, I love a documentary that is like, here is what's going on, this is what happened, but there's still stuff to happen. It's life. It's showing life, and you did that here. It's evident here.
Thank you.
So what you spoke a bit about what surprised you about BB. Was there much difference between hanging out with BB in the dressing room and BB out in the bar? You know?
Huh. I mean, I don't think so. I think BB is
Mm,
BB is BB. I think,
mm,
but like there's also like everybody, highs and lows to that energy level, but like there's a warmth and a charisma one-on-one that I think BB has just really authentically with almost everybody that she meets. And like you may not get that if you've only ever seen her perform on stage. It's the interaction that I think makes people really feel connected to her. And
mm,
I mean, honestly, that's why I ended up putting myself in the film. I didn't want to be, but it was because I felt like that was kind of missing that, like that warmth and that one-on-one. And so, yeah, I don't know. So I think there
mm.
isn't, I don't know. I think BB as grand in person as she is on stage
Yeah, that's
sometimes.
kind of, yeah, because
Um,
I throw that out there because I know a few drag queens myself, and I know some drag queens feel this need to have like this kind of Gemini type, split type lifestyle. I am this
yeah.
persona on stage, but backstage, like, I'm just me. And in this film, it's very interestingly about BB just is BB. You're right. Like, I see that, from what you capture from behind and what you capture from on stage. I don't see someone being two people. I just see one person. And that is very beautiful, I think, to see.
Yeah, even though we have that moment in the acting class where it's like,
Oh, yes.
I'm with Marshall, can I speak to BB? It's like,
Right.
there is the duality a little bit,
Sure.
but like he says, you can't have one without the other.
Right.
It's all the same.
Right.
I don't know, just different sides of the same person, like we all have.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. And I find some of the backstory, from home in Cameroon. I think a line that really got kind of into my head was, someone mentioned the permanent fear of homosexuality. I find to be so intense. It's the way that he phrased it, like this permanent fear, not like something that they can talk about, something we can discuss. This is permanent. How did you feel filming there in on location, talking about being gay, being queer? I know some people had to hide their faces. How was some of that for you and telling the story?
Well, I think that was definitely the most important and impactful part of making this film to me in a lot of ways. I'm very much aware of the risk that all of those individuals took in speaking with me. And I'm so grateful and take it very seriously to protect their identities and try to make this film be a useful tool for them in some way. I really want to focus on an outreach and impact campaign for this in the next 6 months. That will be of service to international human rights for queer people all around the world. In some way, shape, or form. Still trying to find the shape of it, but it was
Mm,
really important to me. And honestly, like this film has been very hard to finish, and I feel like thinking of those people has kept me going because I think like that's the why. That's the why. It's because BB came from this place where it was not a given that he would be able to live out loud, and it's not a given that he would be born into a family that would end up being so accepting.
Right.
And so it was it was kind of solemn for me, honestly. I took it really seriously and I was very concerned and feeling a lot of
Mm.
responsibility for everybody, but it was also such a gift. And everybody I met in Cameroon was so warm and so hospitable and so welcoming to me.
Oh,
And they didn't have to be,
right.
yeah, and it was sort of a miracle I even found them because, as I say in the film, like the intention was to go and try to film with Bebe's family for this very
Right.
hard moment, and it just was not meant to be. And so I had reached out to a lot of people in my network to see if anybody knew anybody on the ground who was living closeted or were activists in the LGBTQ sphere. And one of my friends got back to me immediately and was like, "My cousin will pick you up at the airport," and he did, and that just paved the way for this like really magical series of encounters and conversations and introductions. And
Mm.
yeah, so these young people welcomed me in really, really warmly and introduced me to these activists that they knew of who, yeah, the people who don't blur their faces are people who are already known for their activism in the
Mm.
area. And so they didn't
Mhm.
feel like, they felt like people already knew. They felt like they were already targets and, they didn't have as much to lose as the young people still trying to build their lives and maybe not be
Mhm.
a little bit more anonymous. So
And has any of these individuals gotten to see the film or even reached out after or
we're
any?
still in touch.
Yeah.
I have not yet screened the film for them.
Mm.
The gentleman who speaks about like the Bailey story, he
Yes.
deserves a feature film in and of himself,
I
and
know.
because
Like,
he's survived so much, honestly. Like, and there's a
mm,
great book about it called "Love Falls on Us." This reporter, Robbie Coury-Boulet, profiled him and two other activists in Africa. Um, Sadly, he passed. Lambert passed in
oh,
2018 of a heart attack. Very, very
wow.
young, like 46 years old. Um, where was I going with that?
Of
So
reaching out those individuals.
Oh,
Yes.
right. So he has not seen it.
Okay.
Berta, I'm very eager to show it to
Mm.
the woman who he works with.
Hmm.
The young people I've been in touch with by WhatsApp in the recent years. Cameroon is continuing to go through things.
Mm.
There's a story of a young trans woman named Shakiro who was arrested earlier this year or at the very end of last year for being out at a bar and attempted homosexuality. She's trans and she was arrested for just being in a bar, and
Wow.
it's gotten a lot of attention in the past year, and it's been on the minds of the young people who you see in the film, and they're just trying
Hmm.
to figure out what to do and whether to leave Cameroon. I don't know. That our mutual
Yeah.
friend really wants them to leave Cameroon, and the thing is, they love it there. They love their home. They love their country. They love the lives they're building for themselves. But it's yeah, to have this fear in the back of their minds, though, it's just it's not fair.
It's exhausting.
Yeah,
You know.
and
Right.
yeah, and the thing that surprised me most about talking to them about not wanting to leave is they especially are not terribly interested in coming to the U.S. Like
Interesting.
maybe Canada, maybe Ghana,
Right.
but like the US is not the bastion of hope that it used to be for people around
Right.
the world right now. So,
Right. I mean, I mean, how could we be?
right?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've thought of Canada myself a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, what I'm interested to ask you is you were mentioning and kind of saying how it was difficult to find that story that you're trying to bring out of this beautiful film. And when did you find that? When did you realize, okay, we have it, we can now finish?
There've been a couple of points that were really, really key, but I
Mm.
feel like it didn't all click into place until this past January. We had a version of the film before the pandemic that was centered more around that last year in New York, and sort of used the reveal show as a spine to the film that we came in and out of. And it was still a good film. The scenes were still like interesting to me, but it didn't have the heart. It didn't have like the as much emotion and like warmth of Baby as I wanted it to, and it didn't have as much hope.
Right, because that
Strangely,
New York moment is a little it can feel bleak in
yeah,
some of it, right?
100%. And there were
Right.
actually a bunch of like really optimistic things that happened for Baby in 2020.
Mm.
Between Dragnificent and the Amazing
Yes.
Nubia show, and
Hmm.
um,
It's a great show. Oh my God,
Oh
the
my
movie.
God, did you go? Were you there?
I no, I know. I saw the photos and everything, and I really wish I went. I just didn't buy a ticket. I'm not someone who you think would go out as much as I probably should.
With you. Yeah, no, I live in New York too. And I feel like I miss out on so many opportunities every day living there, but it's,
Yeah,
so it goes.
that's why I like
Um,
social media a little bit, just so I could see. I don't have to actually go.
I like that. That's like a positive reframe on social media, which is kind of the bane of my existence. I love it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so it ended up just being so much more hopeful when we sort of like took a step back because of the pandemic. We were going to be submitting to festivals, but it was just like, maybe there's something more we need to dig into here. And so I feel like that new interview in 2020, in Minneapolis, in light of everything we've all gone through in 2020, it just like brought everything together in a surprisingly more poignant, but also hopeful way, surprisingly hopeful, I feel like, way. So yeah, so like that required like taking it all apart and putting it back together again over last winter. And yeah, it was just so satisfying to feel like, oh, okay, all right. Now I feel like this is doing Baby Story justice. Like I think I can move on to something else now.
Yeah, yeah, there should be that feeling inside. There's some directors and filmmakers out there who have interesting opinions on their own work, and I believe it's like I'm not the biggest fan of Scorsese, but he has said in the past, like, "Oh, I hate watching my films," and sometimes I watch films and I'm like, "Oh, am I supposed to hate it? I actually like it. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good
Yeah.
thing?" And I don't know. Yeah, it's like there should be a sense of like, yeah, I see it. It's there. This is it. And if you have any kind of feeling like, oh, just take a minute, and relook at it. And
Yeah, I
time
feel
is
like it was
okay.
like a tightness in my chest almost of like, it's not doing the story justice yet. And then it just like kind of went away. It's like there was still so much work to do to get it finished and out, but it's just like, okay. But like the creative hard part is like,
The
yeah,
story is there. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, which is so important. And I think it's funny when people, I was thinking about this the other day, and speaking of this kind of film, I mean, how interesting we've gone so digital, because imagine working with actual film. Like once it's cut, it's on the floor.
Yeah. How did anybody, yeah.
How did
Ugh.
anybody read it?
Honestly, yeah, I think I was like my film school class was like the last class that got to actually cut 16 millimeter film and my school, and I was grateful for the experience, but
Hmm.
holy cow, like yeah, digital's way better.
Yeah, yeah. At SCAD, they like looked at a little bit, but it was not a thing, and I'm just,
No,
what if it's just, gone? You can't just go back to file A, B, pull it up on the hard
yeah,
drive.
yeah,
But good thing we have that now. It's like, yes, digital. Okay. I'm reminding everyone today it's okay that we live in a digital age.
yeah, there are some good things that have come out of it for sure. I did shoot some 16 millimeter or not, no, 8 millimeter super 8 of BB in
Oh yeah.
2009 that's sprinkled throughout the film. They're
Oh,
like sort
that's
of
what
these
that is.
little like,
Yeah, the cool. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's actual
Mm-hmm.
film.
I also just love how the film got into Tribeca, which is
Mhm.
such a name. And after that whole moment in New York, it's kind of like an affirmation. I don't know, a confirmation in oneself of like, yes, like, okay, no, I New York loves me. I
Yeah, a
hope
little
they
bit of
feel that way.
redemption. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because yeah, those
Yeah,
scenes, yeah, they are very tough, but that you learn a lot, and you grow, and that's the point, you move forward. um
definitely. And I still don't see those scenes as necessarily failure. Like I see that
no,
there's like strong choice in
right,
deciding like, no, New York is no longer serving me.
right,
Like, you know,
right.
yeah.
And so what's on the horizon for you and BB, or just you? Like, what's on the horizon?
Yeah. So, well, uh, what's on the horizon? So I've been meeting with BB a little bit these past couple of weeks because while the pandemic has made it so we're not doing much in person in terms of festivals,
Uh-huh.
we did get to have an in person in Provincetown and LA.
Oh,
And we've been invited to 20 festivals this fall, which we're so excited about, including this one. And really, there's two that
congratulations.
we're going to try to make a special event. Thank you. In person, and one is in Minneapolis because it's our hometowns, and the other is New York, which is my where I live, and we're part of New Fest. So it will be low key, but we're trying to plan something to get together. So we've
Oh,
been
New
meeting up,
Fest.
and
Yeah. You
yeah,
should let me know. We'll hang out.
please come. Yes, October 17th. It's a Sunday
I
night. Gotta
yeah,
come.
yeah. I'm also screening at New Fest, so we'll have a part. We'll just party.
Yeah, I want to see your film there. That's awesome. Cool. So we were having meetings basically to plan these things, and so I got to catch up on what else BB's doing. And BB's working on he just did a tour in the UK, which was wonderful.
Oh my God, yes.
And he's taping something new for Nubia Amplified, which is a series that they're doing on Out TV with the other collaborators of Nubia, that live show
Oh, like the
where
Vixen and
exactly
Peppermint, I believe, right? Yeah.
Bob and Peppermint and Shea
Oh,
Coulee,
nice.
and yeah, just talking about the issues that need to be discussed right now.
So it's like a talk
um
table, you think, like a red talk
yeah,
table type thing?
I think so. Yeah,
Oh,
that's going to be, they're
fun.
working on something like that, as well as trying to bring Newbie the show back
Mm,
when it's more safe for us to be
live,
planning tours
right.
live.
Mm.
And they're doing this great community organization called House of Zahara in Minneapolis, trying to be an arts organization that supports artists coming up and mid-career and
Wow.
seasoned artists, just
Hmm.
helping each other in Minneapolis, primarily artists of color. So he's leading
Hmm.
that right now. And yeah, just celebrating his 20th anniversary of doing drag and trying to like really take in this moment and
Mm.
celebrate it. And the film is a nice part of that.
Hmm.
It's at least a nice document of 15 years of those 20. Um, yeah, so that's what BB's up to. And I just want to keep making films about artists. So I'm trying to position myself to do that, and also
Hmm.
just maximize the life of this one. Make sure we do get a good outreach and impact plan together, and distribution, and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. So,
I would love
and
to
I'm
see
also working
this.
on commercials to make a living, because let's be honest,
How
we all
could
need
you
a
not?
day job. So,
Yes, of course. I
and
know, I've
I
been
had
there.
some debt finishing
Yeah.
this movie. So
Yes,
there's been
they
a
pay
lot
well.
going on. Yeah.
And I would love to see Being BB like on like Netflix or something streaming. Like, let's get it out there. People need to watch it. It's so digestible. It's a great time limit. A run time. I mean, um, it's a really great film to learn from. So I really hope that for you and for
Thank
BB.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Yeah, we're hopeful too.
Well, enjoy the rest of the run with BB, and good luck with the next projects you do. Maybe I will catch you in New York next
I would
month.
love that. I would love that. Yeah. And I want to see
Yeah,
all your films too.
yeah. Oh, thank you. But until next time, have a really nice, I don't know how to wrap that up.
Time. Thank you.
But yeah,
I'm actually
no,
in Minneapolis right now visiting family, but I'm heading back to New York later today. So,
oh, okay, that's
um,
that's nice. That's
yeah.
so was it nice to like travel a bit, like,
Yeah, it's been
yeah.
really good to see family.
Well, good. But thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, John.